You know, the innate nature of a mother is to protect her child, is to avoid any harm done on them. In fact, the amazing part of a mother, the amazing heart of a mother is such that when her child is in pain or her child is suffering, she might even pray, Allah, give me that suffering. Let me feel the pain. Just rescue my child from that pain. That's the innate nature of a mother. But when you look at the mothers of Karbala who were there on the day of Ashura, it seemed as if they had directed their fitrah and their innate nature to something else. These were mothers who were preparing their children for sacrifice. These were mothers who had drowned themselves in the mission of Imam Hussein. And one such mother who sacrifices grand on the day of Ashura. In fact, in the entire mission of Karbala, through Kufa and through Sham, was that of Rabab, the wife of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and the mother of Ali Azhar and Sukaina, or some say Sakina bint Hussain. You can truly sometimes understand the character of an individual and how they react to tragedy, hardship, difficulty. When I stop and think about her, how she arrived on the plains of Karbala in the 2nd of Muharram with a husband and 2 very young children. And fast forward to the days of Arba'in, when the caravan now returns back to Karbala and spending 3 days there in the plains of Karbala, mourning their respected loved ones. And then when it was time for Sayyidah Zainab to gather once again the caravan to go back to Medina, when everyone is ready to go, she could see that Rabab is sitting there at the grave of her husband, her Imam Hussein. And if anybody could convince Rabab to leave the plains of Karbala and that whole area, it was the beautiful heart of Sayyidah Zainab. How she did it, I have no idea. But she was able to convince her to let's go back to Medina. Because my heart tells me, even some historians have written this, at least the emotional understanding of this moment, it's almost as if Rabab would look up to Sayyidah Zainab and say that you want me to go back to Medina. Who am I going back to? My husband, my 6-month-old are buried here in Karbala. I left my 4-year-old daughter in the prison of Sham. And after these 3 monumental tragedies, difficulties, I have yet to read, and I don't know if it's even there, where there is a complaint, where there is even one statement made by this amazing mother and woman that might challenge what the mission of Imam Hussein was. Her steadfastness, her piety, her courage, her patience, her forbearance, and her reliance on God at the most difficult moment of her life. Imagine now giving birth to a child merely 6 months ago, and to watch this 6-month-old have their thirst quenched by a 3-pronged arrow. I don't know how she did it. But I do know that the legacy she left behind is that of reliance on God, is that of sacrifice, is that of understanding that there might be a greater mission outside of me and my children that requires me to sacrifice sometimes the highest of prices. 1,000 salams to you, Rabab. And it's enough to understand that she left Karbala, went back to Medina. But one statement that we do find in history is that on her way out of Karbala, she would stand there at the grave, the beautiful grave of her husband, Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and she would utter these devastating words to him, heart-wrenching words to him, that I saw your mayyat and your body lie there under the burning sun after your martyrdom. And for that reason, I will never stand or sit in shade for the rest of my life. If it's one thing that we want to embrace and emulate from the path of Rabab, it is the idea and the notion of complete reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Drown ourselves in God. Know that no sacrifice is too big if it means that I may attain the pleasure of Allah, or if it means that the mission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves forward. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.